Oh man, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. Uh, Hot as crap here in the south. I don't know if anybody else is watching from the south right now, but I feel you, brother. It's hot. How about you? How are you doing? Yeah. Yes, sir. Heck yeah, man. Yes, very exciting. And I said it when Van Gisbergen won his race. It's just going to be a huge opening for now teams to go out and especially cherry pick from the V8 Supercars people, drivers, excuse me, to go and help them grab some data that they might need. So, RCR's now doing it, 2311's now doing it. We're going to see Kobayashi at the RC course too. I'm sorry, Indy RC. So, it's just, I think it's great. I think it's honestly probably the coolest aspect that NASCAR has right now. But still, a lot of credit needs to go to Trackhouse because they made it they made it work. Now we're gonna be able to see what 2311 can provide and RCR can provide comparative to Trackhouse. So I think that's gonna be very interesting too. Yep. Yep. Travis Pastrana. Yeah. It really has. It really has. Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of that whole charter system that, well, again, Big Daddy NASCAR doing what they can to kill the sport, but charters was not the way to do it at all. Yeah. Why wouldn't he? They treated him like crap. I mean, and then now he goes into Williams, which I know they're a lower team, but look what he's doing with Williams, man. And look how Williams is treating him. They're treating him like family. And why would you leave a situation where you're completely happy at to go back to an extremely stressful situation where you already have a history of bad blood with these guys? I mean, to me, it's almost a clown move on Red Bull to go and ask him to come back. I mean, that's just my opinion. Red Bull is the one that looks really dumb. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And actually, they didn't just go after Albon. They went after Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. Apparently, rumors. But yeah, so could you imagine a Verstappen Leclerc lineup there for Red Bull? That'd be pretty spicy. Jay, you have no sound.
Alrighty, I'm back. I think I have sound now. Yep, I do. All right, cool. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. That was unfortunate. We had a lot of good things we just talked about. But we'll just go straight into the previews of this weekend's races, or the recaps of this weekend's races. We have SRX at Stafford. Unfortunately, with all the races that were going on these last few weeks, I didn't even realize, or I forgot that SRX was starting back up. So for the first race this weekend with SRX at Stafford, we saw Denny Hamlin win heat race 1. He came from the back, drove his way through the field, avoided a lot of the carnage. They have a 20 laps or 12 minutes in SRX. They didn't even hit the lap number. They had to go to the time number because of how chaotic and how many wrecks there were, or cautions there were. Heat race 2, we saw the same effect here. Newman ended up starting towards the front because they inverted the field, and Newman had one of the best cars, in my opinion, all night, end up winning heat race 2. So when we get to the main event, in SRX, they take your average finish from heat race 1 and 2. That's how they set the lineup, and it put Paul Tracy on pole. Crazy move here on the first lap on the restart. Marco Andretti went from 5th to the lead before they even got to turn 1. He actually got one of the greatest restarts I've ever seen. Blew by the field, took the lead, and held it for, I don't know, about 8-9 laps. We saw a big wreck there on lap 6 involving Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, ended up DNFing Kevin Harvick. Bobby Labonte, I believe, was in there, got some significant damage. We saw Tony Kanaan have a bunch of damage from previous heat races, and that kind of changed the complexion of the race. We had a restart there around lap 9 or 10. Denny Hamlin was eventually able to get to the lead and held it the rest of the way. We saw Newman drive through the field in a backup car, end up getting up to second. He looked like he was faster than Hamlin, looked like he was going to overtake him for the win. Unfortunately, weather came into the area, cut the race short. Denny Hamlin gets the win. His first win in his first SRX start, so that's pretty crazy. But watch out for Newman, and we'll talk more about him as we go. ARCA East, typical ARCA race. We saw Swalich on pole, dominate this race. All the cautions were pretty much normal ARCA cautions, single car spins throughout the race. But at the very end of this race, on a green, white, checker finish, Fenhouse was able to pass Swalich at the final lap to take the dub. I mean, how crazy is that? I think Swalich has had 2 races this season where he has dominated it and either lost to Jesse Love and now here to Fenhouse. I mean, how gutting. Or even at Phoenix where he had the best car and got taken out late there on a restart. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on Swalich and this bad luck? Can he turn it around? We're having some more audio technical difficulties here. Alrighty. Let's see if your audio is working. It is working now. I don't know what was going on with our audio issues today, but we are having all kinds of technological oddities in the audio department. So I believe we're both back. I'm sorry that we didn't hear anything that you just said. Do you want to elaborate on what you just said?
Yeah, I believe it was a 3-way battle for the win, wasn't it? I can't remember the third car. But anyways, it was huge for Fenhouse to step up like that and win that race. And so Swalich really should have won that race. I mean, really, who are the 2 dominant cars right now are Swalich and Love. I mean, you could pretty safely bet that if you go into a race weekend for ARCA race, that it's either going to be Swalich or Love. Like, you could put money on that, and you could be pretty safe. But this was an upset, really.
Yeah, it was a big upset. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, honestly, watching that restart at the end, I don't know how Fenhouse even set him up to even make that pass. That was one of the best driving performances I've seen in a while to get that move done on the outside of Swalich there, especially the car that's been dominant the whole race. It's like he knew how to position himself, and he still got beat. That just goes to show a great of a drive that Fenhouse did here to win this race. So congratulations to him getting the dub right there at the end, stealing it from Swallich. All right, next we're going to talk about the Xfinity race, the Am Better Health 200, which saw Chandler Smith on pole, and we saw him with battles early on with Nemechek, Allgaier battling out in stage 1. Allgaier was able to take the stage 1 victory. Then we saw a caution on lap 66 with Fincham having engine problems. And then we had, on a lap 71 restart, we had one of these accordion effects like we saw earlier this year at Fontana in the Cup Series, where John Hunter Nemechek waited to the very end of the restart zone to go, which he has 100% right to do. Unfortunately, though, everybody behind him misanticipated the restart, and they all just kind of accordioned into a giant wreck, taking out the likes of Parker Kligerman, Ryan Sieg, which they were both pretty unhappy with that result, as well as Justin Allgaier. I mean, he got a ton of damage, and he was probably one of the best cars in this race. I know Tom took him as his favorite in this race, and I thought that he had the best car until this incident happened. We've seen this before. What are your thoughts on this accordion-like wrecks? I mean, a lot of people involved in it were mad about what Nemechek did, but then NASCAR and Nemechek were like, well, this is the rule, like, just get over it. I mean, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
You know, whatever the pace speed of the car is, should be the pace speed of the field when the car leaves the racetrack. If that makes sense. Oh, did I drop?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if they're like, I don't know for a hard fact if they're like brake checking the field, and then hitting the gas, or whatever games they're playing or whatever, but I
And I just lost everything. I think we are back. Let's see. We're just having all kinds of issues tonight. My internet is not liking me. My OBS is not liking me, but I believe we are back. If you guys are still watching, give a thumbs up in the chat for dealing with all of our technical difficulties tonight. This has been an absolute unforeseen problem that we are experiencing. I don't understand what is going on with my OBS and or internet tonight, but we will keep fighting through it and keep bringing you this great content like we always do here at Dega Boys Broadcasting. All right, so we've talked about the restart, and your opinion was you don't know what the type of games and stuff they're playing. I know that from in my past experience racing on tracks is a lot of tracks frown upon any type of what they call jackrabbiting restarts, where you don't maintain a certain speed going through the restart zone. In this incident, and also with the Logano one at Fontana, it appeared to me that the leader, Nemechek and Logano respectively, both maintained their speed going through the restart zone. What they did do different than what normal people do is they waited till the last possible second to accelerate in that restart zone, which, in my opinion, if you build that restart box as big as you do, I feel like you open up the rabbit hole for people to play with that restart zone, right?
Yeah.
To when they would decide to accelerate. So I guess my thought is whoever complained about when Nemechek decided to take off on this restart zone, I guess, sorry, man, bad luck. At least he didn't jackrabbit the restart on you and brake check then go, because then that would be bad. But he just played the rules to his liking. Kind of Ross Chastain-esque, right? Like, he's always been in the rules, and these guys know the rules, and they played to the extent of the rule book. And so I feel like that was fair game. Just unfortunate, though, takes Parker Kligerman out, who, I mean, honestly, doesn't need to be making mistakes like this, trying to battle his way into the playoff picture, which we'll talk about that more as the race progresses, because at this point, it looked like it was pretty much done for Parker Kligerman. Looking like he's going to be in a must-win situation as the season comes down. Fortunate, I guess, for him. At stage 2, I just want to note Sammy Smith ended up staying out after a late caution there with Mosag, won stage 2. Then the race kind of restarted here on third stage, and we had a caution on lap 102 for Riley Herbst. He ends up turning himself into the wall off the nose of Austin Dillon. I don't know what he was doing there. He was clearly not clear. Austin Dillon was right at his right rear quarter panel, and he just decided to clear himself off the front end of Austin Dillon. I mean, this is some shenanigan type stuff. This is some bonehead of the week type stuff right here. Especially considering that the guy you're battling for that final playoff spot has had an absolute travesty of a race out of the race. You're going to gain 30, 40 points on him in this one race alone, and then you decide to wreck yourself? I mean, just pitiful. Then we saw a caution here late with 4 to go. Sammy Smith and Sam Mayer, or Sammy Smith got into the back of Sam Mayer, turned him around, caused a little bit of a chain reaction wreck again, costing Joe Graff Jr. a good finish in his select start with Joe Gibbs Racing. And then at the very end of this race, on the green-white checker finish, we saw absolute shenanigans there out of Cole Custer turning. In my opinion, it looks like he just turned down the track into Sheldon Creed for third, coming to the white. I mean, can Sheldon Creed not buy a break? I mean, this again, I spent another Saturday watching a NASCAR race, and I'm yelling at the TV because Sheldon Creed gets absolutely ruined out of something completely out of his control for third place. A guy that desperately needs something good to happen for him. Ruined his race, absolutely killed it. And I guess that ended the race, declared the winner was Nemechek because he was leading at the time of yellow, and 4th win of the season. I mean, Nemechek is on a roll, and Sheldon Creed, again, wrecked late for third.
Jumped.
It was just bad. Terrible, terrible circumstances there for Sheldon Creed. I know Tom took him as his dark horse, and I'm just staying far away from picking Creed for anything for the foreseeable future. And I probably
had 2 great picks last week, and they both got dumped. Or I shouldn't say dumped. They both got junked.
Facts.
Dumb. Well, the next race is going to be better, though.
Yeah, so here we go. The IndyCar race, the Honda Indy Toronto. We saw Christian Lundgaard win the pole in rain conditions in qualifying. Tom picked Lundgaard as his dark horse. I know me and Tom have been pretty dang high on Lundgaard all season long. I've taken him as my favorite dark horse a few times in the past, and Tom specifically picked him this weekend to be his dark horse. He had a good feeling about it, and he ends up getting on pole. We saw a lap 1 caution involving multiple drivers. Jack Harvey, Tom Bloomquist, Ryan Hunter-Ray, Peterson was involved, a couple others here and there. I mean, it's just a big pileup lap 1. I mean, I don't know what they were doing, if it was just early race jitters or what, but they just gave each other no room, trying to make it 3-4 wide in situations where there shouldn't be that many cars under a blanket, and it just didn't turn out to be a good incident. Took out a bunch of contenders there early on. We didn't have another incident until lap 42 when we saw Romain Grosjean. Again, this guy's like Sheldon Creed. Just can't buy a break, ends up putting this thing in the wall, ends his race, and then we get a restart in lap 46, another caution. This was the bonehead move of the week for the race of the IndyCar. We saw Kyle Kirkwood absolutely just rear end Castro Neves. Just on the restart, just absolutely drove through the guy like he was, like, I don't know what he was doing. He just drove right through the guy. I mean, what are your thoughts on Kyle Kirkwood here? What was that?
I don't know. I honestly, like, it's embarrassing enough for the dude. Let's just leave it alone.
But it gets even better, right? This is where the story begins, right? He ends up dumping Castro Neves. So IndyCar gives him a penalty, right? Comes in to assess his penalty. His crew decides to work on the car. They worked on the car under penalty, and then the first thing James Hinchcliffe said in the broadcast booth, he's like, "Wait, are they actually working on that car under penalty?" And then and then IndyCar goes back over the radar, was like, they're gonna bring him down for a second penalty because they were adding fuel and making adjustments under penalty. So just catastrophe here for Kirkwood. He puts himself in this situation, then his team just completely just gives up on him even more by just adding another penalty on top of the already penalty. I mean, just a devastating weekend here for Kyle Kirkwood. I'm sure he is hiding or something right now this week, because that was just a pitiful performance. That team should be embarrassed by what they did this weekend. That was awful. After this, we saw McLaughlin and Dixon stay out on the track when we saw all the other leaders like Pelot. We saw Lundgaard, saw a few other guys pit here for their final pit stop of the race. Weird situation here with Dixon and McLaughlin.
And hindsight's 2020, right? But I guess they were trying to make it on a fuel strategy, maybe. But they weren't even close.
No, they weren't even close. Yeah, exactly.
So
I don't know what their
I have no idea what they were thinking. Well, not McLaughlin or Dixon, but their strategists. Well, I mean, what the heck were they thinking? I mean, this was just... I mean, this... I don't think they had anything for Lundgaard anyways, but, I mean, at least they would have had a shot, you know? They didn't have anything. They stayed out when they needed a pit.
Yeah, it was a mind-baffling call, because if they were to stay out, they were still 10 to 15 laps short on fuel. I mean, even the guys that pitted at that caution, like Colton Herta, who ended up running out of gas coming to checker flag. We saw Will Power run out of gas 1 lap short of the checker. These guys pitted on that caution, and they were even short on fuel. So there was no hope of these guys even closely or remotely even having a chance to make it on fuel. So just a weird, baffling call. I don't know if maybe they thought that they were going to get a slew of cautions or something there, but you can't race banking on cautions. That's never worked in the past, and it will never work in the future. It's just not something that you should do, is bank on cautions. That's like I mean, I don't even know how to put that into real life terms here. I mean, you can't bank on cautions being your saving grace. So it was just a mind-baffling call. Really killed their chances of winning, because they had to obviously come in and pit later on. Lundgaard was able to take the lead away from Pelot there with 63 on lap 63 with about 20 laps to go. I just want to say, we know Lundgaard won the race, right? Tom picked Lundgaard to win this race. That was his dark horse. It's been coming, right? First career win in the IndyCar series. He's been on the verge. Finally gets it done. But I just want to make note of Alex Pelot here, right? Had, I don't know, not that great of a car. He qualified 15th, didn't run very good during this race. Somehow ends up finding his way into a chance to win the race, all while having a wing that was held on by the wrap. This wing was off the car, basically, just dragging the ground. No downforce whatsoever in the corners, and just absolute drag down the straightaways. I mean, and he drove this thing like a champion. I mean, he hung onto this thing and finished P2 with it. I mean, these are the days that you look back on when you're going for a championship, where you're like, that was the day I won the championship. And I feel like this was the day that really solidified Alex Pelot's championship. And it's not been the 3-in-a-row wins or the dominating performances. It was a race like today, or this weekend, where he had a broken wing and still gave himself a chance to win that race and still come home with a P2 finish. Unbelievable job by Alex Pelot. That was insane.
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up, because I mean, you could literally see, what was it, the right front part of the wing, so the right hand side was literally scraping against the racetrack, and the other side was up here, you know, and he battled with Lundgaard for 4 laps.
Oh yeah,
something like that. That's insane. You know, when you have an issue like that, you're not getting, like, I guess you can kind of think of it as like electrical, right? So you're not getting a good connection to the nose cone from the main plane, so you're not grabbing all of that downforce that you should be getting if you're already, or if you have a normal front wing. You're getting like a loose connection there, so you're probably only getting like 40% of the maximum downforce that you can get from it, which is everything in street courses. And he was still battling Lundgaard for the win. That's insane.
Yeah, it was absolute madness. I mean, I was in awe watching him at the end of this race. I had a feeling he was going to drop 5, 6, 7 spots back. I thought his wing might come off, and none of that stuff ever happened. I mean, all my thoughts were just erasing as the race was going, and you just know if you're sitting there with as Newgarden or Scott Dixon, especially Scott Dixon driving through the field, you're like, man, I might be able to actually salvage a good day out of this terrible pit strategy because Palou might have trouble, and it just never happened. Like, how demoralizing is that as a championship contender to watch the guy you're trying to catch in the championship take a car that is done and be able to withstand it and to pull off a finish that he did? Just unreal. But then again, Lundgaard was the best car all day. I mean, the best car all weekend, best driver all weekend, deserved every bit of that win. And I have a feeling there's gonna be many more to come here in the rest of the season and into next year. Look at Christian Lundgaard as potential championship favorite going into next year. I would not put it past anybody to say that. I mean, I'm considering it even, so that's pretty cool. Is there anything else you want to add with the race at Toronto or IndyCar?
Was Lundgaard our first dark horse pick that won the race?
Honestly, it might be. I can't think back on another dark horse that's won so far this season.
Mm-hmm. That there are no other people out there that's done that before. Only here at the Dega Boys podcast.
Right? There
Just
you go.
saying.
Dark horse victory. Here we go. Tom picked it. That's awesome. All right. Now, the Cup Series, the Crayon 301, got delayed from Sunday to Monday, which was yesterday. I mean, the race pretty much played out the way that we pretty much predicted. We saw Christopher Bell on pole. Throughout stage 1, we saw Truex take the lead early, and then we saw Christopher Bell have multiple pit issues there in that first stage. I mean, 2 pit stops in a row there in the first stage put him all the way back to like 12th or 13th place. Really kind of hampered his day from there. He was in catch-up mode. Truex wins stage 1, pretty dominant fashion. Our first real incident here was on lap 163 when Eric Jones spun. Just a weird incident there. They come in to make their pit stops. Eric Almirola ends up taking 2 tires, wins the race off pit road, and then on that restart on lap 169, he's in the front of the field, and apparently his lug nut wasn't tight. His wheel comes off, goes from lead to the wall in about 100 yards. Super unfortunate. That was a guy that was also a Tom's dark horse pick that was leading this race, looking like he had the best car other than Truex. It looked like it was really going to be between if Bell could recover, Truex was the best car, and then Almirola seemed to have a lot of speed as well. So it really seemed like those 3 were the ones to beat. Fortunately, Almirola out of the race, loose wheel again. It just seems to become a problem here. Truex did end up winning stage 2, so he swept the stages. Next major incident was lap 30 or caution with 31 laps to go. Lyle Gregson, as Jared likes to say, ends up losing a wheel there and breaks at the same time. I don't really know what happened, but just a really continuing with this Lyle Gregson problem on a weekly basis here, just having the worst luck, wrecking himself, just whatever can happen in Lyle Gregson. He's like one of those guinea pigs in a lab. Like, he's an experiment right now, especially with that team with Legacy Motor Club. So yeah, interesting there. We got another restart there later in that race, and Christopher Bell ends up wrecking with 14 to go. Truex came over the radio and he said something to the effect of, we need to make a company policy where if one of us is leading late in these races, we can't wreck by ourselves. And I mean, Christopher Bell just completely ran out of talent here. It was the most un-Christopher Bell-esque move I've ever seen. Just went through the corner, slid that thing sideways right into the wall. And that was the RIP to my fantasy because I had Almirola. I had Kyle Busch. We know Kyle Busch DNF'd out of this race. I had Christopher Bell, and he ends up wrecking late. Ryan Preece, and he just didn't run at all near where I thought he would. And then, my fantasy took a hit. It was just bad. But Truex wins the race, 34th career win. And I don't know if this is surprising to you. It's surprising to me. Truex has never won in New Hampshire. Like, what? That's a shock. This guy, every time they go there, he's dominating.
Didn't Truex have a really hard time getting his first short track win?
That's true. That is true.
When was that? Like 5 years ago? 6 years ago or something like that?
And now he's the guy to beat on short track. So That is
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting stat that he had never won at New Hampshire, but 34th career win for Martin Truex Jr. And that is going to segue us to our next segment here, which is Truex versus Byron debate, right? We've talked about this before. Last week, specifically with Byron being the championship favorite, but I want to take a look at their stats real quick, and maybe me and Tom can shed light on who we think is the championship favorite, because I believe that these are the two best drivers this season, and they continually prove it on a weekly basis. So far this season, in 20 starts each, Truex has 3 wins, Byron has 4. Truex has 7 top 5s, Byron has 8. And then Truex has 10 top 10s, and Byron has 11. And then Truex has 1 DNF, Byron has 2. And then Truex has led 743 laps, while Byron has led 750 laps. Truex has 3 stage wins, Byron has 7 stage wins. And currently, if the playoffs were to start tomorrow, Truex would have 33 playoff points, and Byron would have 32 playoff points. All right, Tom. So, with those stats, pretty similar. I mean, Byron's pretty much +1 on just about every one of those stats until it comes to stage wins. Who do you think is the championship favorite as we sit in this moment right now?
Byron. And it's 100% Byron. I have no doubt that it's Byron. And I'll tell you why. It's because of how consistent he is. Truex, okay, won the Clash. Whatever race you want to call that. But then after that has had, or how I feel, is kind of just fallen off the face of the earth until he won these 3 races. So, but you've heard about Byron all season long. I mean, he's very consistent. Yeah, okay, he's got 1 more DNF than him, but oh well. You know, but Byron is just, again. Actually, you know what? We talked about it, Jay. We talked about it. I think it was 4 podcasts ago when we were talking about our fantasy picks, and there was a couple of drivers you could choose where you could just get guaranteed points every week. And one of them was William Byron. Not once did we ever talk about Truex. Ever. So that's the reasoning behind why I think Byron is championship favorite right now, with his 4 wins and the consistency that he has. He's unmatched, man. There's nobody close to him.
Alrighty. Well, I agree with everything that you just said, but I've changed my opinion this week alone. I think Truex is the championship favorite. And the only reason I say this is I do agree with the consistency, but when it comes to the playoffs, consistency doesn't matter, especially with the buffer that Truex has built so far this year. He can have a bad race or 2 here and there throughout the playoffs and still be fine. But when it comes to winning at Phoenix, a track that I think Truex is probably one of the best at, very similar to what we saw this weekend at New Hampshire, and all you have to do is win that race. If you can get there and all you have to do is win it, I think if anybody's equipped to do it, it's definitely Martin Truex Jr. And I believe Martin Truex Jr. is your championship favorite because he is the walk-off factor that you need to win this championship in NASCAR anymore. So that's my opinion. That's Tom's opinion. And, I mean, really, you're kind of splitting hairs between these two, in my opinion. I mean, Tom brings up the consistency factor. Right. I bring off the walk-off factor. But really, at the end of the day, we're just going to have to let it play out. But as it stands, I think Truex, Tom thinks Byron. And if you guys have a differing opinion than those 2 drivers, or you agree with us, leave those in the comments. We would love to hear them.
And you know, actually, you know, Tim Henderson put in the chat here, do you think that with a run that Truex is having this year, do you think he'll be back next year? Or can we see John Hunter in the 19 next year?
Okay, that's a great question. I think John Hunter is for sure the replacement for Truex Jr. I think that everything's lined up. He's in that Gibbs family. They are setting him up to have a Joe Gibbs ride in the future, whether it's in the 11, whether it's in the 19. I do not think Truex retires if he doesn't win the championship. If he wins the championship, I have a feeling he walks off as a champion. I feel like that is his goal. That is what he wants to do. So if Truex wins a championship this year, yes, you will see John Hunter Nemechek in that 19 next year. But if Truex does not win the championship this year, I believe that he will come back again the next following year on a 1-year contract and try and do it again and try and go for another championship to walk off as a champion. I feel like that's just who Truex is, and I just have a feeling that's how Truex is going to end his career. I feel like he wants to win a title and be out.
Even if John Hunter doesn't win the Xfinity Championship,
I don't
you
think it
think that
matters.
they're still going to line him up? It doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters because look at Byron. He doesn't win the Truck Series championship, dominated that season. The wins mattered more, right?
Yeah.
And then we saw him win the
Yeah.
Xfinity title. I don't think championships in the lower series are as important as race victories. You know, like look at Christopher Bell, didn't get the Xfinity championship, and he should have. I mean, if he wasn't against Tyler Reddick those years, I mean, he would have been the champ. I don't think championship really matters. I mean, you look at Suarez with winning the Xfinity title, that was really his only beckoning point to move to Cup with the Carl Edwards retirement. I don't think the championship really is that big as that important of a deal. I think it's more of a self-wanting thing than it is what teams look for. I think they want somebody that's going to be able to jump in and win a race. I mean, that's what they want because winning is everything in the NASCAR anymore. I mean, you win, you're in the playoffs. You could be running 39th in points and you win one race at a range shortened Daytona and you're in the playoffs. That's just the way it is. It's the nature of the sport now. So I think they just want people that can win. So that's a great point that Tim Henderson brought up for sure. All right, I want to go over the driver of the week, bonehead of the week, and then we'll go over points real quick, and then I want to jump into our playoff predictions for this season because we're only 6 races away, and it's getting really tight, and I think it's time that we maybe kind of do a little bit of playoff prediction, a little pull a genie out of the bottle type segment here. So driver of the week nominees this week, we're going to nominate Tony Breidinger, P5 in the ARCA race, ran up front, top 5 all day long. She's just exceptionally gaining experience and getting better and improving, unlike other drivers that we've noted have not been able to do. She just keeps improving and improving. And me and Tom talked about this on the off stream. We were talking that maybe, potentially, hopefully, she could run another full-time ARCA year, maybe run another little bit of part-time trucks, and just keep building on this momentum. Keep working at it. It's no rush to get to the Cup Series. You got to be able to get your racecraft down, get your pace down, understand the cars, and get the performances, and then you can build upon that and keep going and progressing. If she doesn't make it to Cup till she's 28, 29, 30, then so be it. But if she's race ready and she can get to the Cup Series and actually compete and run up front instead of just being there learning at trial by fire and just failing and then getting dropped off like she was nothing, like we've seen with many other drivers in the past. Prime example, Cole Custer. Maybe just keep building on that. So that's going to nominate her. She just keeps doing a phenomenal job. I'm personally a huge fan of Tony Breidinger. I think she's got a lot of talent, and I could see it on a weekly basis. Like, she's not making rookie mistakes on a weekly basis anymore. She is learning, and she's improving weekly. So that nominates her. Then I also want to shout out Jeb Burton, P7 Xfinity. Where did he come from? I mean, honestly, this guy was nowhere to be found the whole race. And then you look at the final results and he's P7? Unbelievable, man. Personally, that nominates you. If you're a guy that nobody's looking at the whole race and then you just wind up in a P7 position at the end, that nominates you as a driver of the week. That was a phenomenal performance by Jeb Burton. And then, obviously, we got to give it to Christian Lundgaard. First dark horse in the history of Dega Boys YouTube to win a race.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks to Tom. And then it was his first career win. And then he did it in dominating fashion. He dominated the whole weekend, led the most laps, won the pole, won the race, walked off victory. Just incredible performance this weekend by Christian Lundgaard. That nominates him. And then for Bonehead of the Week, we're going to nominate Parker Kligerman and Riley Herbst in 2 different orders because, first off, Parker Kligerman in a tight battle to make the playoffs in the Xfinity just gets in that chain reaction crash that was completely avoidable and really hampering his playoffs. And then, obviously, Riley Herbst wrecking himself off the nose of Austin Dillon. Same situation as Parker Kligerman, right? In that very out on the bubble to make in the playoffs, and then has this chance to just extend his advantage over Kligerman, wrecks himself, and then has a pitiful performance and finish. Really just back to square one where we were. It's like we didn't even race this weekend because now we're right back to where we just were. So both drivers not being able to take advantage of each other's misfortunes. So that'll nominate both of them. And then obviously you got to put Kyle Kirkwood in here. I mean, that was just dumb. I mean, you could honestly say Kyle Kirkwood and team because he not only wrecks Cash Nevis to get a penalty, they fix the car under penalty and service the car under penalty, and nominates him instantly. Instantly nominates Kyle Kirkwood and team for Bonehead Move of the Week. That was one of the worst. I think that's almost Bonehead of the year, honestly, by that whole performance this week. It was bad. All right, so now we'll go over IndyCar points and we'll go over the Cup points real quick. So IndyCar Palou still your points leader at 417. 117 points back is Dixon in second, and Newgarden is there in third, 126 points back. So, I mean, again, Palou, a great performance to be able to salvage the best day he can, and he extends his points lead. I mean, if you looked at his car at the end of the race and you're telling me that he finished P2 in that and extended his championship lead, you would have just laughed at me. But it happened. It happened, guys. It did. I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy. And then in the Cup Series points, as we talked about, Truex and Byron are the top guys here. Truex is your points leader again at 667. Byron is second in points, 17 back, and then they have separated themselves now. Like they have definitely separated themselves from third through eighth. They used to be right on top of each other. Anybody that won could take the points lead a couple weeks ago. It's not like that anymore. Bell is third, 62 points back from Truex. And then the cut line. Michael McDowell, still 16th in points, but he's now only 1 point over Suarez instead of 3. So he's still hanging on there to that cutoff line over Suarez. But now this moves us on to our playoff prediction segment, right? We're going to go over 15th through 23rd in points here. We'll end it with Chase Elliott because I feel like he's the only last guy on that list that can potentially make it. So currently, Bubba Wallace is 2 points above the cutoff line at 15th. What are his odds of making the playoffs? Like, so I guess I'm asking because we're not going to be able to bank on a win, right? Like I mentioned earlier, you don't race a race banking on a caution. You don't race a championship banking on a win, right? So we're assuming that he doesn't win a race. What are his odds of consistently being able to point his way in, or what do you think are his weaknesses to not make the playoffs?
Well, first off, I want to say if he doesn't make it into the playoffs, I think it would be hugely disappointing because I feel like that he gets a good car. Not only that, but look at his teammate, almost 80 points in front of him. You know, and Bubba's been there longer. This is Tyler's first season. So I think it would be hugely disappointing to not get that 23 car as a team, to not get that 23 car in the standings. And I think that his biggest, his biggest issue he's going to be facing is himself. Because he's no Ross Chastain. He can't forget about things that have happened, and he lets it eat himself. And he is his own worst enemy. He will literally self-implode if you give him the option to. So that's my view on it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said to the T. And then I guess my biggest concern with Bubba is I guess my biggest positive here is his equipment, like you said, and then my biggest concern is we still got 2 road courses left, and I just don't see him running well at any road courses. He's never really done it in the past, and considering 2 of the 6 races left to get to the playoffs are road courses, I look at 4 guys below him that are going to run way better on road courses than him. I think that's going to be his Achilles heel, and that leads me to my next driver, Michael McDowell, currently 1 point over the cut line right now, the final driver into the playoffs. I said this last week, and I'm sticking to it. Michael McDowell will win a race before the playoffs are here, and I believe that will be at Watkins Glen. And I'm not going to say that as my prediction for him making the playoffs, but I'm sticking to that word that he will win a race. I guess my biggest advantage that Michael McDowell has right now is his consistency. This guy just finds ways to get good results. It doesn't matter what he has to do strategy-wise. You just look at the end of the race and this guy's in the top 15, top 10, even sometimes in the top 5. I mean, it's just unreal what this team has done and rallied around him. I think his biggest weakness, though, is the fact that he has to rely on strategy to get there, to get these results. I mean, this weekend he had pace, but it's one weekend he'll have pace where he's a top 10 car, and another weekend he'll have to find a random strategy loophole to get a top 10. And I feel like you can't just do that weekly and play inconsistently like that to get these top 10 results to be able to point your way in. What are your thoughts on Mike McDowell making the playoffs, or strengths, weaknesses?
I mean, I am all for this man making the playoffs. His team has shown great strides of performance this year, not only out of that 34 car, but also out of that rotating seat 38 car. We've seen Zane Smith do some great things there. Who's the other driver? I apologize. Todd Gilliland, thank you. We saw some great results out of him. I think a P4 and a P8 something like that. But besides the point, this front row motorsports team, after finishing mid 20s in points every year, this is they are having a dream season right now. I mean, last year, well, we could look real quick. Last year they finished 23rd in points. So, you know, a huge gains. 2 top 5s, 12 top 10s last year. This year they're at 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s. So, but they're pointing their way in. So I think that Michael McDowell has a great shot of pointing his way in for this playoffs. I really don't think there's anybody below the cut line to be that worried about. I mean, other than the fuel we'll be talking about here soon, but I think Michael McDowell has a better chance than Bubba Wallace, in my opinion.
Okay, so next is Daniel Suarez. What do you think his weakness and strengths are to make the playoffs? He's currently 1 point below Michael McDowell in 17th in points.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that 99 team this year. The one car, same with the one car. The one car, obviously not that controversial this year. He's driving pretty on the safe side, but and still having a pretty decent year. Finally got that win at Nashville, and but P7 in points right now. It's very disappointing to see where that 99 car is at. I'm almost thinking that it's almost a waste of a seat, to be honest with you. I could be wrong, but I don't think. I don't know. I think it's too early to make comments like that, maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what to think about this 99 team. They just don't seem to have that it factor this year. And it's so strange because last year it was like a weekly basis they're battling for wins. There's probably 3 or 4 wins last year they should have had that they just didn't get. And this year you just don't see them up front ever in those situations. And I mean, we've seen a little bit of lack of consistency out of Chastain here recently as well. Like he'll be on 1 week and then off for 2 and then on for 2, off for 1, like back and forth. But Suarez just seems like he's just never on. I mean, we just haven't seen a week yet where you're like, man, he could win a race. So I just think he's in trouble. I don't think he makes the playoffs. Bold prediction. I don't think it's happening this year.
I agree.
Next is AJ Allmendinger. He's currently 18th in points, and he is currently 20 points below the cut line. A lot like I said with Bubba Wallace. I believe that his strength is the fact that we have 2 road courses left. I believe that he is banking so hard on these 2 road course races coming up to be able to put himself in position to get a lot of points and potentially get a win at an Indianapolis road course. He's done it before. He's really good there. And then also we have Daytona on the schedule, and he has turned out to be an amazing plate racer. So I look at half of the races left on the schedule where he can get a lot of points and he can put himself in a position. Will it be enough to climb his way into the playoffs? I personally don't think so. What are your thoughts, strengths, weaknesses here for Allmendinger?
Yeah, actually, the 2 people that I would like to predict to go into the top 16 by pointing in would be Michael McDowell and AJ Allmendinger, with maybe a little bit of threat there by Ty Gibbs, but I don't think that Ty Gibbs is. He's a rookie. He's doing pretty dang good in 19th place. Ty Gibbs is, but I think that with the courses that are coming up, the races that are coming up, it's just going to play in the favor of AJ and Michael. It really is. I mean, we're talking about some road course aces and some really good restrictor plate racers, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I didn't want to give away who I think are going to make it in. I'll do that at the end. But yeah, so you picked.
Oh,
no, that's fine. That's fine. I wanted to hear that anyway. So you picked Allmendinger, McDowell. Those are your guys that are going to point their way in. So the only other, I got 3 more guys I want to talk about here. First, Ty Gibbs. He is currently 19th in points, and he is currently, quick math, 33 points behind the cut line. My math is
43.
right.
42. 43. It's 43.
30.
43. No,
33.
It's 43.
Okay, 43 points behind is Ty Gibbs, and he is currently 19th in points. Your strengths, weaknesses for Ty Gibbs to make this the playoffs. I guess. First off, I think that his strengths are his equipment and also his biggest complaint in the past has been lack of awareness, but his awareness this year has been so much higher. Hasn't been making any enemies, been just consistently getting better weekly and weekly, and he's in Gibbs equipment, and I believe that he is going to continue to do what he's done all year. Just keep improving on his finishes, and his average finish just keep going up and up and up, and I believe that he will point his way into the playoffs. That's my first prediction as my first person to point his way in the playoffs, and I don't think he's going to have to just point his way in. I think he's going to win a race before we get to the playoffs. I really do. I have a feeling if any rookie is going to win, it's going to be Ty Gibbs, and I think he's going to do it before the playoffs. But I still think overall he's going to point his way in. There's a lot of favorable tracks coming his way, and I think that he can do it. What are your strengths and weaknesses for Ty Gibbs here?
Yeah, again, strengths, equipment, and that's pretty much it, I think. Weaknesses, he's a rookie. He doesn't really know. I mean, he's probably, or he has learned a lot, like what you said, throughout the season. We've seen him not get in a lot of trouble, like what we saw in his Xfinity title run. But I can't see him pointing his way in. I mean, I guess he could get a victory, but the restrictor plate coming up, but still, I don't know. I think it's a long shot for Ty. I still think that AJ has a better chance because not only is he good at restrictor plates, he's also good at road courses.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I got two more drivers I want to talk about. First is 20th in points, Alex Bowman, 390. He's 42 points behind the cut line. Didn't make up any points this weekend. Strengths, weaknesses. My strengths for him is definitely equipment. Weaknesses here has been the consistency, right? We haven't seen it as of late. He was so consistent to start the year, and it seems after he came back from his injury, it was like we saw a whole new Alex Bowman. Wasn't consistent anymore. Him and his crew chief aren't vibing. I feel like it's Blake Harris knows how to put a car together. Just their strategies have just been wonky recently, so I believe that he is not going to make the playoffs because their consistency isn't there, and their overall mesh as driver crew chief combo and that whole team is just not vibing right now. And it goes from the top to the bottom. I just don't think that he's going to be able to make it. I don't have any strengths, honestly. I can't pick a strength out besides equipment really for him to make the playoffs. So he's out in my opinion. Who do you got? Or what are your thoughts on him?
I agree 100% with what you said. 100%. Hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah, there's just tough reality, but that's just how it is shaking right there in the Hendrick camp. And then that leads me to my final Hendrick driver here, Chase Elliott. He is currently way too many points back to even want to count right now. It's 60 plus for sure. He's certain 23rd in points. People are still saying that he could point his way in. I just don't see that happening. He's got to win.
No.
His strength to win, or his weakness is he's just so far back that he can't point his way in. He's gonna have to win stages and be running up front weekly. And if you're doing that anyway, you're gonna win. So really, it puts you in a must-win situation. So that's his weakness, is no consistency, and he's got to win pretty much. But his strengths are he is NASCAR's golden boy. There is going to be an opportunity for NASCAR to tweak a race a little bit, not intentionally, but inadvertently tweak a race where it benefits Chase Elliott the most. And then again, we have multiple road courses left. His equipment's amazing, and there's just no more excuses for not making the playoffs. He's with Alec Gustafson. They've been here. They've done this before. There's no reason why they can't. So that's his strengths, right? So what are your thoughts on Chase Elliott? Pointing his way in, must win. What strengths?
He can't. He's gotta win. And I don't. How do you even? I don't know. It's a bad year to be a Chase Elliott fan. It really is. It's a really bad year. I'm not at all, by the way. I'm clean hands, But I don't know. Chase has got to do something, man. He's got to do something. And whatever he's doing right now ain't working.
No,
it ain't working.
It's not working at all.
I don't see him pointing in. I don't see him
Mhm.
winning. I don't see him doing anything spectacular at all. He misses the 2023 Cup Series playoffs.
Yeah. And we're going to have 2 Hendrick drivers missing the playoffs. We're going to also have one of the Trackhouse cars missing the playoffs. And in Tom's opinion, he thinks it's going to be Allmendinger and McDowell to make the playoffs. And I'm with him with McDowell. I think McDowell points his way in just with what he's done this season. It's hard to not think he will. And I still think he's going to win. And the only other guy on this list that I thought can win a race, and I still think he can point his way in, is Ty Gibbs. So I'm taking McDowell and Ty Gibbs to be those last 2 spots in the playoffs.
Hey, Tim Henderson says that Spingate happens and they add Chase this time.
Yeah, no doubt. I would not be surprised.
It'd work.
I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, that could absolutely happen.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna end up getting, if say he's 17th in points, 30 points back, they're gonna end up catching somebody on they're going dig on somebody's Twitter feed and try to find something they said bad when they were like 8 years old, and then they'll suspend him for a race, and then that'll eliminate them from the playoffs because they're no longer full time. And that'll move Chase Elliott in. Also, I want to answer some of his questions. He has some good ones. This one right here. Does John Hunter take the 23, and does 2311 put Bubba in Xfinity like SHR did to Custer? I don't see it. It's not happening. Bubba's going to be in the 23 for the foreseeable future. There's no way I see him ever not in the Cup Series.
I think as long as Michael Jordan stays there, then Bubba has a really good home to stay at 2311. I don't even think that Michael Jordan is even looking to sell out anytime soon.
Mm-mm.
I think that him and Hamlin have pretty concrete roots, and they're in for the long run there.
Yeah, and if sponsorship was an issue, I could see it, because maybe like he loses some sponsors, they can only fund 30 races. I could see them being like, yeah, maybe we'll just move into Xfinity to be cheaper.
Well,
but sponsors are just lining up at their door to be on that 23 car. It's insane the amount of sponsors he's bringing in. So I don't.
Yeah, but that's happened though, and then they slapped a Jordan logo on the side. It's happened before, and they still hung on to Bubba. It was only like 1 or 2 races for the year. I get it, whatever, right. 1 or 2 races, but I don't know.
Yeah, interesting there. And then he also said Suarez almost won at Atlanta. Well, that was really, I don't consider Atlanta a racetrack, so I don't really consider any results from Atlanta.
That place sucks.
Yeah, it's the worst place ever. And then he said Bowman's strengths are absolutely nothing. I would absolutely agree with you this season. It's just he has no strengths this year. And then obviously Chase Elliott needs to win and the spin gate, so we're on the same page there. And then also, yeah, live fast. If they finish 35th in points, they'll have to take NASCAR take their charter, or they'll have to sell. That's true too. That's something that I think gets overlooked. If you finish in the bottom 3 in points for 3 consecutive years, NASCAR has the opportunity to take your charter from you. How weird is that? We haven't seen it come into effect yet, but that is a weird thing to
you know what that sets up for? That sets up for a Junior Motorsports Cup Series, right?
Yeah,
right there.
I think that's pretty messed up to actually take a charter from somebody. Be like, hey, this is how much your charter's worth. You could sell it. Oh well, we're just gonna take it from you, but not. Like,
again, that's some Big Daddy
NASCAR, man. That is some typical
Big Daddy NASCAR.
Alrighty, so that does our playoff predictions. Tom says Allmendinger, McDowell are going to point their way in. I say Gibbs and McDowell will point their way in. Alrighty, so now we are going to go over this week's races predictions, our favorite segment of the podcast. This weekend we have Formula 1, Formula 2 at Hungary for the Hungarian Grand Prix, Indy, Indiana NXT at Iowa, IndyCar doubleheader there. And then all the NASCAR series plus ARCA at Pocono, as well as IMSA with the pilot and the GTP class or GTD classes running at Lime Rock Park, as well as SRX at Stafford Part 2, because the Thunderdome or Thunderbowl there in Vermont got flooded, so they have to run Stafford twice. Notable entries this weekend in the truck series. We got Austin Hill in the number 7 Spire. We got Kaz Gralla in the number 1 Tricon truck. Ross Chastain in the number 41 Nice truck, Kyle Busch in the 51 KBM truck, Bell in the number 61 Hattori truck, and then Parker Kligerman in the number 75 Henderson truck. Xfinity Series, Ty Dillon in the number 3 RCR car, Chase Elliott in the number 17 Hendrick Motorsports car. Mosak in the number 19 JGR car, and then Heim in the Sam Hunt Racing car. Cup Series, we have Custer in the number 51 Rick Ware Racing car. For IMSA this weekend, it's only the GTD Pro, so there's 15 GTDs and 5 GTD Pro cars. This weekend in IMSA for the Pilot Challenge, the TCR class is the only one running. There's 14 of them. SRX, notable entries. We have Ryan Preece and Kyle Busch making starts this weekend, or in a couple days from now, actually, at Stafford for round 2. And then IndyCar, we got old Cooter Daly, as Tom likes to say.
Cooter.
In the number 60 Meyer Shank ride, still filling in for Pagenaud. It's kind of becoming the rented out mule of the IndyCar series seat this season. And then Formula One, Daniel Ricciardo making his debut here with AlphaTauri. So that'll be exciting. I'm a huge Daniel Ricciardo fan. This is some good news. All right.
Yes.
So SRX at Stafford, number 2, round 2 of the 6-race season there. Favorites, dark horses. I am going to take Ryan Newman as my favorite. He was so fast there. If the rain didn't come, weather didn't come, he would have passed Hamlin, would have won that race. I think he gets redemption and gets it done on Thursday this weekend. And then my dark horse is Ryan Preece, and I just think that it's kind of the same way with Hamlin. I think first SRX race, first SRX start, he could win this race easily too. Exceptional talent behind the wheel. Who do you have, Tom?
I have literally the same people for the exact same reasons. So, I think the only other person you could choose is Hamlin racing this weekekend with SRX?
I don't think so. No.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure,
Well, then
no.
you'd be dumb not to choose Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Newman and Preece. Who else? Who else are you gonna choose?
Yeah, really nobody. I mean, it's a bunch of old retired guys. I mean,
Maybe
not a
Paul
lot I could
Tracy if you like that. But
the only way Paul Tracy wins, and it is possible if he just takes the whole field out. I mean, that is a very
Yeah,
liable
right.
opportunity. And he gets away with it too, because nobody wants to fight Paul Tracy, man. That dude's scary looking.
Yeah, not even Tony Stewart.
No, I don't think Tony Stewart even say a word to Paul Tracy. That would be a bad move on his part. All right, ARCA race, the Sunset Hill Shooting Range 150 at Pocono. My favorite, I'm going Jesse Love. Like me and Tom have been talking about, if you don't take Love or Swalich, they're easy lock money picks. Put them in, you got them, take them to the bank. So I'm taking Jesse Love, and then I'm taking Andres Perez again. I just have a feeling one of these weeks he might end up stealing one, and maybe it's this weekend at Pocono. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, I got Swallich. And for the exact same reasons why you chose Love. But then for Dark Horse, I chose Breidinger because, you know what? She's coming off of not just fell into a 5th place run, but an actual hard-earned 5th place run, which is huge for her and that team. And I think that momentum that she has going on right now with her and her team, it's going to roll on to the Poconos. I think she's going to get a great finish.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. All right, so now we have the IndyCar doubleheader on Saturday. We have the IndyCar Hy-Vee Homefront 250. I am taking Newgarden to win this race. I think he's just going to be dominant all weekend. This is kind of his playing ground. Ovals and IndyCar in general have kind of been Newgarden's stomping grounds. He's already won at Texas and Indianapolis, 2 ovals already this season. I think he wins here again. My dark horse is going to come out of the McLaren camp, and I think it'll be Rossi. I think Rossi's due for a good run, good turn of a round of luck here, and I think he'll be a contender in this race. Who do you got for the first race there, IndyCar?
Yeah, so when I used to run around the circuit there with Indy cars, it was always the Penske cars that were so freaking fast at Iowa. They figured out something the first time we went back to Iowa, and I think that those 4 cars put a good 15-second gap on 5th place. So, I think you can choose any Penske driver, and it's a great choice. But this time around, I'm going to choose Power, Will Power. So, again, Penske car, it's a great choice. Whatever Penske car you choose, great choice. With Dark Horse, I'm going to go with Malukas. He's had some great runs at ovals, and I think that's the little momentum that he has and the struggles that he's had with Dale Coyne, he can easily overcome with his driving abilities.
I agree. That's another guy that I would like to have rumors around in the offseason for a better ride. I think he has got a lot of talent. All right, Saturday is the Indy NXT, the Firestone, Iowa. It's a short race, but personally, I have no idea who to take for an oval in Indy NXT. It's kind of a wild card, but I'm just gonna take Rasmussen. I feel like him and Nolan Siegel are in this intense championship battle, and I feel like one of those two are gonna kind of take control of it. And why not Rasmussen, right? He's definitely got a chip on his shoulder, and I feel like he takes the win. Dark horse here, I'm going to take Jacob Abel because, I mean, he has just been absolutely non-existent. We know he's got the backing. He's got the support. Maybe he can do something this weekend. I don't know. I'm just going on a limb. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, me too, honestly. I don't know who to choose. And I'm going to choose Foster for my favorite and Simpson for my dark horse. And the reason why I'm choosing Foster for my favorite is I don't think he's gotten redemption yet for his Detroit incident there, where he just got absolutely screwed from winning that race. So I'm playing the little soft heart here with Foster, and that's why I'm choosing him as a favorite. But the dark horse, again, I really don't. I struggled honestly with this one more than any other favorite and dark horse lineup that we have, but I didn't exactly go like this, but I went like this.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's the first Indy NXT Oval. I mean, what do you have to expect? There's nothing to go off of. There's just it's literally like Tom said, close your eyes, throw a dart at a board, and who it lands on is who you got to take. So, yeah. I mean, I think another one that we didn't mention here though is somebody that we could be sleeping on is maybe Ernie Francis. I know that's a deep shot in the dark here, but
that's a great choice. What do you mean? That's a great choice. Okay, I'm not gonna change it though. I'm not gonna change it, but
yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not gonna change it either. But I completely didn't think about that until we just started talking about it. I was like, wait, Ernie Francis might be a good pick, but we'll see. We'll find out on Saturday after this wonderful Indy NXT Oval. All right, also on Saturday, I guess, is the Truck Series, the CRC Brake Clean 150 at Pocono. Like I mentioned, a lot of heavy hitters in this race. You got Bell, Chastain, Busch, Austin Hill, just a stacked field here in the Truck Series. But the guy who's been on fire in the Truck Series this year, the guy I believe is the hands-down championship favorite. I think he'll take it. I really do. I'm so high on this guy right now. Corey Heim. I think he does it in a pretty dominant fashion. I think he puts it on these Cup guys, and he really solidifies himself as a future rising star in NASCAR. For Dark Horse, I'm taking Matt DiBenedetto. I feel like one of these weeks, that team's just going to put it all together. Why not Pocono? I mean, this is a track you can really go bold at and do some strategy stuff, and he is very capable behind the wheel to pull some type of strategy stuff. I'm taking Matt DiBenedetto as my Dark Horse. Who do you got, Tom?
For a favorite, I got Friesen because it would be freaking awesome to see him in victory lane again. I just remember a couple years ago when he was pretty dominant. Switched to Toyota, and then it all went to crap, basically. And then for my dark horse, I'm going to just throw it out there. I think Kaz Grala has a great chance winning this race. I am extremely excited to see Kaz back on the track. I'm not really that big of a Kaz Grala fan, but he's had a lot of struggles through this sport, and he just constantly keeps coming back with different teams, different sponsors. Like, that man is trying. You know what I mean? And so I respect that a little bit with Kaz Grala. So even though he's got a really weird name, I dig it.
Heck yeah. I mean, anybody that's really been in that Tricon #1 truck this year has really had some good success. So see if he adds to that fraternity there. All right, Saturday as well, after the truck race, is the Xfinity Series Explore the Pocono Mountains 225. My favorite is John Hunter Nemechek. I feel like he battles with Chase Elliott all day, but Chase Elliott, I mean, he can't even win a shopping cart race to the Walmart. So I'm taking John Hunter Nemechek to win this race and really just continue to extend his playoff point total, extend his playoff point or his lead in the points, and just absolutely run away with this championship here. And then for my dark horse, I took him as my favorite in the trucks because I'm super high on him. I think in a Sam Hunt racing car, not super good. I think Corey Heim. I think Corey Heim could be somebody you would be sleeping on and just end up finding a good finish at the end. So yeah, those are my picks. Who do you got, Tom?
I got Chandler Smith, hoping for a win. He's got a great team. I think if it's one place to do it, it's here. Yeah. I just chose Chandler Smith because I'd like to see him in victory lane again, basically. But then dark horse Ryan Sieg. You can't deny that man's been fast this year, and he's been doing some work. Just been caught up in terrible luck, almost as bad as Sheldon Creed. Almost. We're not going to that point, but Ryan Sieg also drives for himself. He does not drive for a big name team like RCR. So I think it's a matter of time before we see that Sieg team become a 1 win per year team.
Heck yeah, that'd be awesome. Alrighty. So Saturday and Sunday is the Formula 2 Budapest Grand Prix, the sprint race on Saturday, then the feature on Sunday. We're not going to make predictions because it's Formula 2. I mean, that's enough said. And then Saturday is also the IMSA WeatherTech Series with the FCP Euro Northeast Grand Prix. It's just the GTD cars and the GTD Pro cars. So we're just going to pick an overall favorite, no dark horse or anything like that. I think that the overall winner of this race is that dominant team with Lexus, the number 14 there with Barnicoat and Hawksworth. You can't say enough about how dominant these guys have been. They're at below Verstappen levels in IMSA right now, so I'm taking them to win it all. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, same thing. You hit the nail right on the head. Again, you'd be really dumb to choose anybody else if you want guaranteed points. The Lexus teams are just so on point right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And if you did want to throw a dart at a dartboard as a dark horse, I think Tom would probably agree. It would probably be the number 3 Cadillac there with Jordan Taylor and Garcia. I think that if anybody's got anything for the Lexus, it's them. But I don't see it at all.
No.
And then Saturday as well, after the WeatherTech race, is the Michelin Pilot, the Lime Rock Park 100. We're not going to pick favorites there, but it is the TCR class. I just will let you know that watch out for Robert McGinnis. The goofball will be there in live there. So if you're at Lime Rock Park, you will see him. And he is a goofball. All right, Sunday is the IndyCar second end of the doubleheader, the High V 1 Step 250. I picked Newgarden to win the first race. I'm going to take him to win the second race. I think this is Newgarden's week to just go out and get as many points as he possibly can and try to make a last-ditch effort at Palou for this championship. And I think that he will take the double, take both wins. And then my dark horse shouldn't be on a dark horse list, but he's really only had one winning performance all season, and it was at the Detroit street course or street circuit, and it was Will Power. I think Will Power in a Penske car could be potential to overtake Newgarden and win.
Man, okay, that's fine.
I mean, he hasn't been fast anywhere. I mean, it's a perfect dark horse. I mean, nobody expects him to win.
I mean, he was fast at Road America until, Scott Dixon junked him. I'm just kidding. That was practice.
Yeah.
All right, I feel you. Anyways, my favorite, I'm going to choose Newgarden. I'm going to do that Power and then Newgarden deal just to kind of spread my chances here. But then I'm not going to do that for my dark horse again because I'm still going to go Malukas because I think that he's going to have a great weekend, I think, for sure. Yeah.
Alrighty. So now the Formula 1 Hungarian Grand Prix. I am taking Nick De Vries. Sorry, not Nick De Vries. I'm taking Verstappen to win because Nick De Vries ain't even there, bro. And who wouldn't pick Verstappen? I mean, this dude's insane. I mean, obviously it's going to be Verstappen. And then I wanted to take this as my dark horse. I wanted to take Ricardo, but if I take Ricardo, I'm doomed. Absolutely doomed. I'm going to doom him, doom his family, doom everybody at AlphaTauri. So I'm not going to do it. I'm taking Alexander Albon as my dark horse. he's gonna get a podium before the end of the season. I feel like if anybody could do it in a car that's not to par, it's Alexander Albon. I think it could be Williams. So that's my dark horse. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great dark horse. But again, favorite, you have to go with Verstappen. You just again, you'd be dumb not to. But and then you know what? I'm gonna do it, Jay. I'm gonna do it. Dark horse, Ricardo. Yep. You're absolutely, and you know what? He's not only going to have a great race. I am going to predict that he is going to outqualify Tsunoda. He's going to outrace Tsunoda, and we're going to potentially be seeing a huge mix-up in Red Bull. Because the only reason why Ricardo didn't get that number 2 seat at Red Bull is because Helmut Marko believes too much in Sergio Perez and that there is nobody at his level, and I quote, yet. He said yet.
Wow. That is we'll absolutely crazy. I would love to see a Ricardo Verstappen Red Bull lineup again. I mean, I feel like if anybody is out there right now that could compete at the level it's at Verstappen in a team car with him, Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Daniel Ricciardo. I think those are the guys that could do it. So that'd be awesome. Yeah. Good luck to Ricciardo this weekend, man. How freaking awesome is it that Daniel Ricciardo is back in Formula One? I mean, this dude, if you guys don't follow Daniel Ricciardo, I mean, this dude's just awesome, dude, man. I used to always pull for him back in the mid.
It's been since like 2016, or 20. No, it's got to be 2018.
Yeah.
Because when was the first Drive to Survive season for
like 2017
Netflix?
Or 2018? It's probably 2017.
That was the year that he switched to Alpine.
Alpine, yep.
It was Renault at first, and then it changed to Alpine.
Yeah, just a great storyline. Awesome to see Ricardo back. We'll see how good he does. It gives us something to watch. I mean, it's another storyline besides Verstappen winning the race. We could see where Ricardo finishes. And that leads me to the final race of the weekend, which is the Cup Series, the highpoint.com 400 at Pocono. They will actually be live streaming this. It is the watch party stream this Sunday. It'll be me, Tom, maybe Jared will stop in, maybe Donovan. He's kind of been absent for a bit. Maybe he'll jump in and join us a little bit. We'll watch it together, give you guys our live interaction. We'll just have a bunch of fun. It'll be an awesome time. But I guess we're gonna pick our favorites here. I taken William Byron. I think he wins this race. I think Hendrick's been pretty good there in the past. I know Larson's won there. I know Elliott's won there in the past. I know Bowman's won there in the past. I think it's time that Byron gets a win there this time, and he gets it done this weekend. And kind of closes that gap back on Truex. That seems like him and Truex are battling for that regular season championship. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make some inroads on that. And then my dark horse, and I said it in the playoff prediction, I think he's going to win a race. I think this weekend could be the one. I really do. I think this could be the weekend that Ty Gibbs gets into victory lane and gets into the playoffs. I really do. I just have a really good feeling about Ty Gibbs this weekend at Pocono. Who do you got, Tom?
I got Kyle Busch. I don't know, man. I don't know why I chose Kyle Busch, to be honest with you. I just think that Kyle Busch would be, pretty good at this racetrack. Possibly. Yeah. And then I chose McDowell for dark horse because playoff predictions. That's why. And I think that that 34 car and that front row team has been doing really good and progressing over the race weekends and actually learning instead of hanging their head every week. So I think that the 34 car is going to be top 10 factor this weekend, like they always are.
Heck yeah. Alrighty. Well, that does our predictions for the weekend. If you guys got any other predictions, or share them down in the comment section below. We'd love to hear what you guys think. Who you guys think are going to win.
Tim said he can't wait to fall asleep.
Oh, you won't fall asleep listening to me and Tom. We can make anything exciting. Trust me. We could do it. Come enjoy it with us on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. It'll be our second watch party stream. It'll be a super fun, entertaining time. And we had a great time last time. We had a great bunch of talking points. I think we had a couple brewskis and Chat of Jared. Jared, comedy hour over there. That guy's got a good thing to say about everything.
Jared being Jared.
Yeah.
That's just one reason why to tune in.
Yeah, you gotta tune in. Jared. Jared's great. Jared's awesome. You guys will have a fun time. Alrighty, so next is our fantasy picks for the week. 5-driver lineup. I'll take Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain, Michael McDowell, Kyle Busch, William Byron. I mean, they're all pretty self-explanatory. I think Gibbs, Byron will be bound for the win. Busch, like you mentioned, really good at this track. McDowell is just going to be consistent with points. It's an easy pick. And then Chastain, who knows what Chastain's going to do. He'll have a bad race, good race. He had a bad week last week. I think this week will be the week he has a good one, so that's why I put him on her. Who do you got this weekend, Tom?
Yeah, I've got Busch, Harvick, McDowell, Buescher, and Gibbs. And I think that you're going to be seeing a good amount of Fords up there just because of the speed, the raw speed that they have, I think. And then I threw in a Toyota there with Gibbs just to kind of offset the usages that I've been using drivers with. And then I think that Busch is going to be a really good contender for the race win this weekend, so I chose him.
Alrighty. So now we have the matchups. The first one is Harvick and Bubba Wallace. I took Harvick. I mean, I feel like I don't even need to explain this. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Same thing.
All right, the next one was a pretty difficult one. I went back and forth on it. Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain. I mean, I took Bell just because I put Chastain on my roster, so I felt like maybe I should do something different with my line or my matchup. So I picked Bell, but I mean, it's splitting hairs. You could flip a coin for this one, but I took Bell over Chastain.
Yeah, like you said, the inconsistencies the one car has had over race weekends. Having a good week and then a bad week and then another bad week, then a good week, then a good week, then a bad week, then a good week and a good week and a bad week and a bad week. You can never choose, but I chose the 1 over the 20. Specifically because you chose the 20 over the 1, and that's why.
There we go.
That's it.
I mean,
I gotta gain points. Yeah, I gotta gain points.
I mean, you gained a bunch on me this last week, and my fantasy fell apart within the first 20 laps. Man, that was bad. And then the next matchup is Bowman and Suarez, and I'm only taking Bowman over Suarez because Suarez has been just non-existent, and Bowman's had success at Pocono in the past. I just have a feeling that he's going to do better than Suarez. Not by much, but he will do better than Suarez. I mean, who do you got?
Yeah, I got the same thing. I got Bowman over Suarez, and I am not a believer in that Suarez camp right now, specifically because of driver. And I do believe that Bowman has more driver talent than Suarez. So just on that aspect alone, I will choose the 48 over the 99.
All right, and then the last one here. This is another tough one, kind of like with the Bell Chastain one. We got Blaney, Keselowski. I took Blaney over Keselowski, and honestly, I just looked at the names and I just clicked the first one that just stuck out to me. So I grabbed Blaney. I could have took Keselowski easily in the same reason. It's a tough one to pick. They're so consistent recently. So. Yeah.
This is a hard pick, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
But I chose Keselowski just because I still think this team is just building every week, and they're only getting better and better and better. Where we've seen, Blaney had a great race last week at New Hampshire. So, or this week actually. But this is just a hard one. I chose Keselowski just because I'd love to see the 6 car in victory lane. See Keselowski in victory lane again.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. Looking for that 36th career win, I believe it is for Keselowski. Actually, he's first as an owner driver, so that'd be pretty sweet there. Yeah. Radioactive of the week. Final segment here is, and I quote, "You've got to be blank kidding me." If you can guess which driver said this quote in the comments or the comment of the poll after the stream, you'll get a shout out in next week's episode. Nobody's guessed it right yet. We've only had one guess. They were incorrect, so. If you watch the stream, the name was actually in the live chat, so if that gives you a hint, so be it. Alrighty. Well, that is everything for this episode. We really appreciate you guys coming and tuning in. We had a lot of action here from Tim Henderson. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We talked a lot about our playoff predictions, talked about all the previews of the races this week, as well as the reviews from last week. And then our favorite segments. I mean, I am super excited for Sunday. again, watch party. Come on, enjoy it with us. Come and chat in the live chat with us. I mean, hopefully Jared will be there with us and come and give his opinions, his bold opinions, and his bold hot takes that he loves to do. We'll give you some of ours. We'll kind of shoot it with the race. You know what? Like, this is Pocono. I mean, it's going to be strategy involved. There's going to be probably your usual suspects up front. And we'll see how our picks did, right? And we'll see how our fantasy did as it drops as we watch, get our live reaction. It'll be fun. And yeah, and then we'll obviously do it again next month. There's plenty of races next month to choose from there as well, but this is the one you guys wanted to watch with us, and we will be doing it Sunday. So make sure to tune into the channel for that. And is there anything that you want to add, Tom?
Yeah, so you guys just thank you for tuning in for this episode. Thanks, Tim, for coming out, giving us some great points to talk about. But what I really like to talk about, just real quick though, is some of our broadcasting side that we're doing. Possibly, or we are going to be doing some Monday racing. We'll wait till we get a little bit closer to our start date there before we announce anything else. But Tuesdays, we'll still be doing our podcast. Wednesdays, we'll be racing. Thursdays, we are still racing right now with our short track series. So make sure you guys come out and watch that. We're going to be having some more special events come up, so make sure you stay tuned for that. It's going to be some really, really fun stuff heading your way. I'm not ready to make an announcement yet, Jay. I think we probably need to get a couple more things in order before we do that. But stay tuned. It's going to be great. We're going to be seeing some great people putting on another great event, kind of like the Nexus 499 that we did with the 87 cars at Talladega. In fact, Tim Henderson, the guy that's in our chat, he's a driver there. So you'll be possibly seeing him in one of those special events too. So a lot of cool things coming up, a lot of new seasons starting, maybe some new cars coming your way as well. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And we are very excited for that as well. And that's all I got.
Heck yeah. That sounds good. I'm excited already. That's awesome. Yeah, so big stuff coming. Just make sure to stay tuned to the channel. I'll put these polls out at the end of the podcast for you guys to vote for Driver of the Week and Bonehead of the Week, as well as maybe guess Radioactive of the Week. Also, please leave in the comments who you guys think are going to make the playoffs. What are your predictions? We'd love to hear it. I know Jared was talking to me off stream earlier. He would love to do another one of these playoff prediction, season review type episodes that we did earlier this year. So maybe we'll do that leading into the playoffs, or when the playoffs start, maybe we'll do our own playoff grid and we'll kind of go over all their stats and maybe give you predictions and fill our grid out with you guys for who we think is going to win the championship and how it's going to play out. So that's an idea to keep forward to. Also, again, Sunday, come join us. You guys are going to be missing out if you don't. It's can't miss stuff. I'm telling you, only action you can only get on the Dega Boys channel as we watch the race live together. And again, just an amazing slate of races this weekend. I mean, we just have everything under the sun racing this weekend. We just don't have any hypercars really racing this weekend, or GTB, LMDH, or LMH cars at all. But we still have GTE cars or GTD cars, and we still have like IndyCar, F1. I mean, it's a full slate of racing and all the NASCAR series racing. So, yeah, we're in the summer months. We're grinding down towards the playoffs. Lots of exciting stuff, and can't wait for this weekend's races. I'm super excited. Can't wait to see you guys back here next week on Tuesday. As Tom said, we'll be here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, episode 26 next weekend. And we'll review all these races, talk about the upcoming ones. And with that being said, this has been episode 25. Sorry for the technical difficulties we endured today. You can never count on technology to be consistent all the time. It will always fail you eventually. So thanks for being patient. Thanks for sticking around, and we cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. Catch you guys Sunday.